welcome to the Business Podcast by XI Business School. Today with us we have Dr. Sikandar Azam, who is into the finance department. Hello, sir.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you so much for attending the podcast.
Welcome.
So, when we thought of the topic to discuss with you about the podcast, we were wondering which one to choose for. Because financial literacy is very important, but at the same time, we don't want our audience to learn the same thing that they're learning in the classes. When we were looking at a few problems that are relatable for us, we found out that budgeting within the limit of the student is something that's a pain point for all of us. And hence, the topic that we're discussing today is about how to budget within your limit as a student. So one of the major problems that we face is that we do not have any idea of how much we are spending. For example, how to manage them with the limited income that we have. So how to avoid this challenge?
Okay, thank you so much. See, first of all, what a student need to understand is the difference between the expenses and the assets. Assets, particularly, I'm talking about the expenditure, which is capital in nature. See, there are, in every day, we spend certain amount. That amount must be classified for what purposes we are using it. Maybe sometimes it may be recurring in nature, maybe the daily expenses we are incurring. At the same time, there are some items or something which we bought normally that is for the longer period. So if you are investing anything, if in money for buying any assets, you must think it about whether that asset in the longer run is going to depreciate or appreciate. So that is one thing which we need to keep in mind. See, for example, a very small example I will give you. Let's assume you have 3 notes of 500 and you went outside the college during the lunch break. Now what happened? The one 500 note you spent it in the restaurant, second 500 note you spent it maybe buying a books basically. Third one fell somewhere while you're showing the ID card. Now these 3 went for a common man. He or she will say, 1,500 is gone. But for a student, he or she must understand these 3 notes, which you spent it in the restaurant, buying a book, fell down by mistake somewhere. So these 3 incidents you must be able to decode and distinguish to where exactly the money has gone. Now let's look at the books. That book is going to help you the next year also, even after 4 years, 5 years also, whenever you need, whenever you want to refer. But look at the money which is spent for having a lunch. That is recurring in nature. Tomorrow, once again, you will go to the restaurant again, they will ask. But for this book, you don't need to save for the same book. You don't need to pay again and again. Tomorrow also you can read it. So that is what the basic thing is, that you need to distinguish expenses and expenditure, particularly for the longer run. Now, what is basically as a student level, we need to develop the habit of saving. That is much needed actually. And we need to also distinguish between the need, want, luxury, and saving. These 4 classifications must be there in your mind basically. Of course, need, which we can't avoid. Want, which is perhaps can be avoided, it can be avoided. Luxury, I don't think so it's required at a student level. And saving habit, it must be there in the student. So these 4 categories, you must be very much clear about it in order to manage the budget at a student level.
As you've already brought up the topic of the need and the want, which is something that at a student level, probably all of the students do not understand. Perhaps they think that their want is a need. It's their assumption. So do you have any strategies or ways that people can actually differentiate between the need and the want and actually ensure that they're understanding the money that they're putting in so that they're actually saving and by not purchasing the things that they don't want?
Okay. So see, there are 2 options I have. See, for example, if I have maybe the 50,000 extra in my account, I have 50 or 60 or 80,000, I have 2 options. One, what I can do is that I will go and buy the iPhone. Okay. But look at the value of the iPhone which I have bought right now by spending 60,000-70,000. Of course, it's going to depreciate and same year in the coming year as well. Okay, the same amount can be invested. We have different way to invest. We have different options to invest. The same amount can be invested somewhere where the money is going to appreciate actually. A normal assumption. So whenever you are spending other than need, you must calculate whether these investments are going to appreciate or depreciate. Because at a student level, I believe that you don't need to desperately look at the luxury and want item. That you can fulfill once you start the job. Want you can fulfill once you start the job basically. So that can be done. So these are the way through which you can distinguish, and some other techniques which can be start avoiding expenses. If unless until it's not very necessary, try to avoid it. Okay, kal kharidenge, parso kharidenge. I will do it tomorrow. I will do it after 10 days. I will do it after 1 month. Try to avoid it. But that will gradually help you in actually creating or building a habit to to save more and more money basically. That is one impulsive buying. Very frequent we buy basically. Okay. I mean, sometimes we are not hungry, sometimes we are not in need of anything. But still, since our friends are buying, so I am also buying the cold drink or tea, coffee, or just for the purpose of sitting in the restaurant, chit chat with a friend. We are ordering something. As a peer pressure. That thing you need to come out from those things basically. So these are the idea which a student must. These are the habit a student has to follow basically.
Got it. But when they're managing their own budget, one of the biggest challenges that they face is to how to do so. So that to solve that problem, apparently we have a few applications, a few websites through which you can actually track your income, your expenses, so that you're in track of where your money is going and where your money is coming from. Do you think these apps actually help? Because in my personal opinion, I've used them, I've not been consistent with them, and they did not actually help me. I'd rather put a target in my mind and then go towards it. So do you think these apps gonna change anything in the spending of a student?
Okay. So these are very often complained. Sir, I started entering all the details on the app which we have, we have Splitwise, we have Pocket Guard. These are the things which is being used for. So of course, every penny, every paisa, every penny matters basically. Now, what happened basically here is that if you are not able to update all the expenses once you have downloaded the app, it means there is something which is related to your discipline actually. So, as a student, also you need to be very much focused about it, and you need to update. And of course, these are the apps which certainly help the student in understanding to where we are spending. At the end of the month, you will be able to calculate that app itself will give you in terms of maybe the grocery, shopping, hostel rent, or maybe the buying a books or traveling. So these figures will give you an idea where exactly I am spending more. In fact, beyond this, I also suggest it's better if you really first couple of months or maybe 3-4 months try to spend money not by using the UPI. Go for the cash. Withdraw the cash and make sure every day maximum I am going to spend on grocery maybe buying the things which is recurring in nature, daily in nature, maybe for 200. And pay it by cash. And still I have a habit of paying cash basically, rather than going on the UPI. UPI I use only in case whenever there is no option for me basically. So that when you are paying it in cash form, then you will realize something is going from your pocket basically. So that actually, and try to live your life, below your means. Whatever you deserve, below that you need to spend, below that you need to live your life basically. You don't need to necessarily copy with your, the classmates or looking at someone who is very trendy, fashionable, or maybe someone is very rich. You don't need to copy with them basically. So yes, certainly these apps matters a lot, but this also show how disciplined you are in terms of entering the amount, in terms of analyzing where the money has gone. These are the much worthy, and as a student you must follow this one.
Got it. So what do you think students can do especially to save up for their long-term goals? For example, getting a car or getting a bike. So how can students save up?
Okay. I would suggest at this age you don't need to own a car or bike because it's not your money. At a student level, the money is coming from your parents' pocket basically, father's pocket basically. So you don't need to, and these are the things which easily you can avoid. These are not the necessity actually. These are the luxury, these are the want, not the need. So try to avoid these things because even if you are buying a car or a costly gadget, of course the very next year that amount, the value of that asset is going to be close to the half basically. So what is the point of investing in something which is going to be half or maybe close to the half in 1 year or 2 year or 3 year basically. So try to avoid this better than if you have those amount, try to invest in that, maybe some other, maybe you can buy in the gold, silver, maybe that I would say mutual fund. I won't say the stock market because for that you need to have certain knowledge. And the better part, sometimes people say, that I don't have knowledge about the mutual fund and the stock market, why should I invest in that? It's too risky. But once you start with a small investment in a mutual fund, then automatically your curiosity will be there to learn. Unless until we do not do any practical, see for example, you have 10 lakh rupees, you wanted to buy a car, what do? You will start digging information. What are the different features of the car? What are the car which is coming up to my expectation with this budget basically? It means you have started getting the information or knowledge because you wanted to buy it. In the same way, since you wanted to invest in the gold market or maybe the silver or commodity market or maybe for a while, I would say mutual fund, not in the stock market. I won't suggest right now because for that you need to have the broader knowledge about the finance basically. But mutual fund you can invest. So you'll be curious to know about what is mutual fund. What are the risks involved in the mutual fund? What are the variety of the mutual fund? In which mutual fund the risks are less? So maybe very small amount, but with this amount, if you start investing, you will start getting the knowledge. You will be more curious where exactly the money is going on, in which kind of mutual fund I should buy, which type of car I should buy, whether EV or petrol or diesel. Again, which company? Here also, which asset management company? Aditya Birla, or maybe the Bajaj, or maybe that. For a while, Axis mutual fund, whatever basically. So these are the ways through which you can develop your habit instead of going for an asset which is going to devalue, rather invest somewhere where probably there will be appreciation. The chances of appreciation will be much more high.
What are the financial habits or mindsets that students can develop in their college years so that it actually plays a role even after their graduation to ensure that there is financial stability for them?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Priya. There are a couple of things which we need to, in some of the point I have already discussed. So first thing is that develop the habit of saving. Avoid impulse buying. Try to avoid or prolong or extend your expenses as long as you can. Next, you can call it, do not go or follow the luxury or want because your colleagues or friends are actually having. So you are just because of the peer pressure or colleague pressure, do not involve into this. And please keep in mind, since we are talking about the budget, money and finance, you use your money as a tools, not a goal. Quite often what happens basically, as a student we go into the comfort zone and whatever the subjects are being taught in the class, we think this much is enough. But try to explore more and more, come out from the comfort zone. So that is also very important. I will tell you a very small story basically. There was one fellow basically. Another fellow has offered him to come, I will give you 30,000 rupees per month for a job. And that job was all about that fellow has to stand in a square. There is no other job. He has to come every day. He has to stand 8 hours and he will be getting 30,000 job. He was so happy to look at here. I am not doing anything. And their friend started telling, come with me and we'll go outside. We'll have fun or whatever. He said no. Just for the purpose of standing in this square, maybe 4 by 4, I am getting this much amount. After 2-3 years, that owner said that I am going to extend this one. And then he become very happy to look at here. From the 4 by 4 feet, it has become 8 by 8. Then 10 by 10, after 12 by 12, and then gradually his salary was increasing 30 to 35 and then close to the 40. One day he said, at the age of the 50, when that fellow has reached, one day he said that, sorry, Okay, we are done with that. I have hired another people and I will be giving 30,000 to him, and he is ready to stand in a 4 by 4 square. Now what happened that, look at it, he was in the comfort zone. He did not do anything. He was just coming and standing. He do not have any skill. Now it is very difficult for him to survive in the market because he does not have any skill. So sometime we come into the comfort zone and we feel like, this is my promotion, this is my, this is enough for me, I have achieved. So as a student life also, I am just suggesting, a student must come out from their comfort zone. It's not all about whatever is being taught in the classroom, you should be restricted to that, you should only focus on that. Beyond that also. So the other some of the point which you can develop the habit, like maybe try to engage yourself more and more in the physical activities. That may be like sports, cultural activities. So this will actually deviate your mind from that impulsive buying, frequently going outside, tea, coffee, or buying so many, the shopping and all of this thing basically. So these are the things which you can, and try to learn, negotiate. That is also very important. One a small incident, again I will quote it here basically. During my student life, we went outside the college. There were two of my friends who was giving company to me. They wanted to buy an apple. One fellow, he negotiated from 150 rupees to 120. And he was so happy that I was able to negotiate 150 rupees per kg apple to the 120 rupees. There was another of my classmate, what he was not able to negotiate well, but instead of 150, he was able to negotiate close to 130 only, lesser than the previous one. But what he said, since I am not very much sure about the variety of the apple which you are selling, which one will be tasty, he said, I need two different types of variety. Half kg apple of this variety, half kg apple of this variety. Both of them came back to the hostel. When they tasted, then the another fellow who negotiated up to 120, he said, Arey, apple is not tasty at all. Apple is not up to our expectation. Now what I am going to draw here the meaning, but look at the another guy. The one apple, one half kg is gone, not a tasty, not up to their taste. The another one is good basically. Now look at the two. One was a marketing fellow, another was a finance fellow. Marketing fellow was fully focused on negotiating the price, and he was so happy that 150 apple I have bought at 120. But the finance fellow, what he did, he was not able to negotiate equal to the marketing fellow, but slightly he negotiated. But what he did? Diversification. He bought three different types of apple. So what happened? His risk was minimized, risk was hedged. For the previous fellow, what happened? Entire 1 kg of the apple is totally waste. But for this fellow, what happened? Half kg is gone, but half kg is up to the mark. So as a student, you must be a good negotiator. At the same time, you must think how to minimize your risk by diversifying your portfolio. Not to putting entire money at one place, not to investing the entire money in a single investment or single assets basically. So these techniques you must know in order to minimize your risk and better coming out with the financial you can call it that the literacy, or that you can call it better knowledge about the finance basically. So these habits must be developed. And then the another one is that in a student life itself, start creating the passive sources of income. Today the entire world is looking toward the generating passive sources of income. You will be maybe after BB or MBA, you will be getting maybe per month, let's assume 1 lakh or 2 lakh, whatever, because you are working 8 hours, that's why you are getting. But let's assume something happened to someone. Whether the company will keep continue paying 1 lakh, 2 lakh per month? Not at all. If something happened to someone, maybe that whosoever XYZ, or you can give my example also. If tomorrow something happened to me, and due to some reason or maybe health issue or medical issue, if I am on rest for 3, 4, 5 months, of course the company will not pay basically. So that should be keep in mind the secondary sources of income, the passive sources of income, that may be through your investment into real estate, or maybe into that small, it may be that in the stock market also we have ITBs, we have we have Nifty Bs, we have mutual fund also short term. So we have some different types of fund, and wherever it is, it could be the gold also, silver also, commodity market also. So start creating. Maybe it may, of course, during a student life it will be very small amount, But with this small amount, start thinking how to create the passive sources of or secondary sources of income. These things will certainly help you after going out from the college in your day-to-day life, in your practical life basically.
Sure, sir. With the podcast that we've understood that the importance of financial literacy is really important. We've gained insights on how we have to find different ways to invest our money and identify the difference between the needs and the wants, and think of a few techniques and strategies to invest our money wisely. So with that, we conclude our podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Priya. Thanks a lot. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Good luck.